This is a German barbed wire stake, and you can tell because it doesn't have the top to it. It's a little electrified. And also the one over here is an English one, and you can tell by the way the piece shoots up at the top. The bottom is a big corkscrew, and then at night they'd go out to no man's land and screw them into the ground and string the barbed wire. And there must have been millions of these things left around here after the war. We're just coming up to one of the most obscure monuments to Canadians in the First World War. It's to the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, and it commemorates their action here at Bellewaerde Ridge in May 1915. It's got a very poignant inscription, and it reads, "Here, 8th May 1915, the originals of the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, commanded by their founder, Major A. Hamilton Galt, DSO, held firm and counted not the cost." The Patricias suffered more than 400 casualties in this battle, and it took place on that ridge just behind the monument.
Mabel. Yesterday, Lieutenant Gow shot badly. 4 men killed, 9 wounded, 2 went mad and had to be disarmed. 6 are in what is called a state of collapse, having been shelled all day and having to remain underground all day. Today, in advanced trenches since last night under very heavy artillery fire. Living in deep ditches. 5 killed, 11 wounded, 1 machine gun smashed to pieces and crews buried and wounded. Gray was badly shot. Ever thine, Agar.
The Battle of Bellewaerde Ridge was a continuation of the Second Battle of Ypres. It's now about 2 weeks later since the gas attack took place, and now the Germans are putting more pressure on the Canadians, and in this case Canadians, and the British forces in the area. Here. This is a 303 bullet, which would be British or Canadian. It's been fired, so you can see the rifling marks in the bullet. Could have been fired in the Battle of Bellewaerde Ridge. On Bellewaerde Ridge, where the fighting actually took place, and here's some leather, either from a boot or from a pouch. Here's a piece of webbing equipment. This would be British. This I can't tell what it is. There's a lot of material up here. Here's another piece. This is a part of a fuse. Looks like from a British shell, an 18-pounder. And you actually can see where they've painted it red along here, along the fuse. The red painted fuses were ones for high explosive, and if they were painted orange, it was for shrapnel. For high explosive, you don't usually find much at all because they'd be blown to smithereens.
At dawn on the 8th May, in another effort for Ypres, the German guns open a tremendous barrage, and their infantry rushes the Patricias. Watching the attack begin is Corporal Edward Edwards.
At 6:30, the morning stillness was punctuated by a single shell, which broke barely in our rear. And then the ball commenced. They poured in a very destructive enfilade fire which swept up and down the length of the trench like the stream of a hose, making it a shambles. Each burst of high explosive shells, each terrible pulsation of the atmosphere, if it missed the body, seemed to rend the very brain, or else stupefied it.
North of the Prince's Pats, German troops break through the British line and jump into the trenches.
The rest was chaos, pure bit of hell. Men struggling, buried alive, and looking at us for the aid they would not ask for. Soldiers all. And as the Germans came on, dead and bayoneted our wounded.
After 17 hours of non-stop fighting, the Prince's Pats repulse the final German assault. The Battle of Bellewaerde Ridge is over. Of the 550 Pats who began the day, 150 are left at the end. Severely wounded, Agar Adamson is evacuated to England.
Here's a little bit of a find. This is looks like a iron potato, but really it's a a British Mills bomb from the First World War. It's unexploded, obviously. It's live. Not particularly dangerous, but this would have been left over from the fighting probably in 1915 or in 1917. It's not unusual to find these in the fields around here. Today, Bellewaerde's really known for its amusement park, and you can hear the sounds of the roller coasters and the drop of doom right now. People come to Bellewaerde to have fun. No one remembers this battle.
At Kitchener's Wood, at Saint-Julien, at Bellewaerde Ridge, Canada's amateur soldiers had come through their baptism of fire and saved the city of Ypres, but at a terrible cost.
They were very proud of what they had achieved in stopping the Germans, but I don't think anyone really had any idea that they would have this sort of casualties. 2,000 killed over a weekend was not like any other war that had ever been.
The Allies expressed outrage at Germany's use of poisoned gas, but within months they used it themselves. And in the war, poisoned gas scarred, maimed, and killed well over 1 million men.
The Second Battle of Ypres was Canada's first great battle in the Great War. They had suffered tremendous casualties, but they had succeeded in holding the Germans, and it was here at St. Julien that Canada chose to commemorate her fallen. This monument, the Brooding Soldier, was unveiled in 1923, and it was so emotional that it's the only place where they used this sculpture. This panel states, "This column marks the battlefield where 18,000 Canadians on the British left withstood the first German gas attacks, the 24th and 15. 2,000 fell and lie buried nearby. There would be a lot more bloodletting before the war was over."